Now on CoastTV News.
Suspect sparks scare, the arson arrest after the Sunday morning fire at the Pennsylvania governor's residence.
Tracking town traffic, the moves Milton officials are looking to make to stop speeding.
Bridge block begins. We look at the project shutting down one of the main roadways into Ocean City.
A mild Monday for Delmarva, then a chance of showers and thunderstorms tonight with a cold front, then cooler into the middle of the week. I'll track it on Futurecast coming up next.
This is CoastTV News Today.
It is Monday, April 14th, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, Lisa, we're heading into Easter week.
We are, finally.
Coming
Easter's
off
late.
of Palm Sunday yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, Easter's late this year, and I believe last year it was the end of March. I'm pretty sure.
No, yeah, you're testing my memory on that one, but this is a later Easter.
Yeah, sometimes
this year.
Easter's falling on my birthday, sometimes it's early, but yeah, I mean, Bob, the weather this weekend was not feeling spring-like. I felt like we were in January, but yeah, yesterday was a little bit better.
Oh, yeah, that weekend was brutal, especially Saturday. No, yesterday was much better, but Saturday, yeah, that was rough. Still felt like winter there. This morning, not too bad. It's chilly. We're seeing some clouds beginning to move into Delmarva as we have a warm front back to the west. A few showers around Baltimore, Annapolis, maybe some of those sprinkles getting into the eastern shore, possibly into Delaware, but they're kind of fizzling out as they're moving to the east. And then we're watching a warm front back to the west, and then a cold front that will slide through tonight. That could trigger some showers and thunderstorms. 38 in Redden now, 38 in Delmar, 37 in Salisbury. I think just a tad too warm for frost, but it's possible maybe a little bit inland. 40 in Georgetown, 47 in Rehoboth, Bethany Beach at 46. A westerly breeze right now eventually turns to the southwest as we go through the day, and we have a nice warm up. We'll see some clouds this morning, maybe a sprinkle with temperatures warming through the 40s. Then mid-morning, we're into the 50s, a mix of sun and clouds. Winds turn more out of the south by noon with mid to upper 60s inland, cooler at the coast and some places near 70 as we go into the 5 o'clock hour, especially inland areas, and then pretty pleasant as we go into the evening hours. Here's your day part forecast. Lots of clouds this morning, maybe that sprinkle, otherwise some sunshine into the afternoon and mild. There is that storm threat tonight with the cold front. I'll talk about that, and then cooling down for the middle of the week. And right now, the Easter holiday weekend, not looking too bad. Much more on your forecast coming up in a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, look forward to that. Thank you, Bob. Our top story this half hour, police say they have a suspect in custody. This is in connection to a fire at the Pennsylvania governor's official residence. Governor Josh Shapiro says state police woke up his family at 2 a.m. Sunday morning and led them to safety. No one was injured, but as you can see on your screen, there was some significant damage to the interior of the home. Authorities say they have arrested 38-year-old Cody Balmer and will charge him with attempted murder, terrorism, and aggravated arson. Investigators say they believe this was a targeted attack, but the motive is unclear.
But we do know that this attack was targeted. We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay. This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay. And it has to stop. We have to be better than this.
Now, hours before the fire, the governor, who is Jewish, said his family celebrated Passover with friends at the residence. Now Governor Shapiro is calling for an end to violence that he says is becoming far too common.
Happening tonight in Milton, the latest crackdown on speeding. Several options doing that could move forward to the Milton Town Council. One deals with portable radar signs. Currently, there are several throughout the town, including on Mulberry Street and Atlantic Street. Another option is the use of cameras in work zones to enforce speeding violations. A vote on sending it to the town council is expected at tonight's Street and Sidewalks Committee meeting.
Getting a look at the Route 90 bridge in Ocean City. A big road project is taking place this week. The Maryland Department of Transportation is attempting to minimize the impact of this to drivers. Route 90, that is a main roadway in Ocean City, especially if you're coming from points west, either on Delmarva or from across the Chesapeake Bay. A 12-mile section of Route 90 is going to be shut down from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. every night. And while the bridge is shut down, drivers will be directed to the Route 50 bridge. If Route 90 is your normal path, this detour could add about 30 minutes to your drive. And people visiting Ocean City feel this is the right time to get the project done.
It'll cause a lot of traffic, but right now the season hasn't even started, so this is the time to do it instead of waiting until the middle of the summer when it really causes havoc for people.
And according to MDOT, everything should be finished by April 17th, again, weather permitting.
Happening now, some lane closures are in effect on the Bay Bridge. Here's what that schedule looks like from the Maryland Transportation Authority. Work should be wrapping up around right now, and here's the time through today through Wednesday. That'll be 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. when those closures are. On Thursday, it is 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And this is for the removal and replacement project.
Happening today in Fenwick Island, officials could take action on its Emergency Operations Center. The Emergency Management Committee is asking for a build-out of Emergency Operations Center in the police department. In addition to that, there's another request for equipment such as a smartboard, laptop, and iPad. The committee could decide to forward the request to Town Council during its meeting this morning.
Lewis officials will get an update on emergencies in the city. According to the agenda, the fire department will give insight on the amount of events it responded to. The department says fire and EMS emergencies increased from February to March. This year, the department has responded to over 1,500 EMS events, and these increases are one reason the department is warning city officials that it will have to end emergency medical services if it doesn't get more funding. According to the department, more emergencies has led to a rising staff cost.
In Georgetown, there could be food truck options starting next month. Tonight, the Town Council will consider allowing the trucks on East Market Street twice a month. That would be from May through August.
We are now getting a live look at Washington, D.C. this morning and reaction and uncertainty in the nation's capital over the Trump administration's tariff policy. Over the weekend, the president announced changes for smartphones, computers, and other tech devices. As
NBC's Alice Barr shows us, that technology is now exempt from the 125% tariff on Chinese imports.
This morning, more tariff turmoil. The Trump administration's surprise move exempting tech devices like smartphones and computers from punishing 125% tariffs on Chinese imports, though a 20% levy remains, giving stock markets an early boost, even as President Trump suggested the reprieve would be short-lived, with new tariffs coming on imported semiconductors.
Like we did with steel, like we did with automobiles, like we did with aluminum, which are now fully on. We'll be doing that with semiconductors, with chips.
The president saying details would come over the next week, and the Commerce Secretary said smartphones and computers would be included in those new sector tariffs, also touting upcoming tariffs on pharmaceuticals.
We need our medicines and we need semiconductors and our electronics to be built.
And we're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Yeah, coming up, last race in Rehoboth, how one man is completing a huge running goal in the nation's summer capital.
Also, Lewis looks for new mayor. We'll tell you how the race could be decided without an election.
And Easter Egg Alternative, the company that is getting creative with Easter traditions. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues. We're at 5:25 on this Monday morning. You may have noticed we're experiencing some technical difficulties here, but we're back up and running. And Bob, we're back with a nice Monday. We're back to normal spring weather as we get a live look at Dover. Yep. That's the way I like it.
And Matt, don't get used to it because we've got more changes on the way. I know it's going to be mild today, and then we have a bit of a cool down, and then I think it does get milder as we go into the Easter holiday weekend. Here's the storyline for today. It does warm up, but it's a brief warm up into the 60s and low 70s. Cold front late tonight, I think, will trigger some showers and storms, maybe some heavy rain and gusty winds with those. And then as we head into the midweek time period, a brief shot of cold air with below average temperatures temperatures, and yes, a possible frost by Thursday morning. Right now, it looks like it would be a light frost and almost cold enough for a frost in Salisbury at 37 there, 39 in Delmarva, 38 in Redden, 42 in Milton right now with mid to upper 40s at the beaches, 49 Ocean City, 47 at Bethany Beach. Right now, the winds are light out of the west, but eventually they'll start to turn out of the southwest, and we'll start to warm things up even more as we go through the day. We have some clouds this morning. We're watching now warmer air starting to build in, and as it does, it is triggering some very light showers around Baltimore and maybe a sprinkle or two for the eastern shore and maybe some of those moving into Delaware. You can see they're very, very light as they move to the east. There is a bigger system back to the west. We've got a series of cold fronts we're watching that will bring in that cold air, and with those fronts, we'll have that chance of showers and storms as we go through tonight. Here's Futurecast this morning. We have some of the clouds, can't rule out a sprinkle, but a quick warm up by noon. We're already in the mid to upper 60s with those winds turning to the south, 50s at the coast. Some inland locations could touch 70 a little bit later on this afternoon. Otherwise, cooler at the beaches. We're dry early this evening, and then later tonight, watch for showers and thunderstorms, some heavier rain with these storms, and maybe some damaging winds too as the system moves through. It'll be a quick mover out of here by about 2 a.m. And then we move into your Tuesday morning. We're in the 50s and low 60s. And tomorrow, not a bad day. Wind shifting to the west, getting breezy in the afternoon with mid to upper 60s, lower 60s at the coast. Then another cold front moves through Tuesday night. Now, part of our area, Milford back through Seaford, the eastern shore, is under a marginal risk of seeing severe weather. I think the main threat here would be some damaging winds overnight. So keep that in mind. Not a lot of rain, maybe up to about a quarter inch of rain. And then by Thursday morning, as we talked about, a cold morning. Protect your plants at that time. Possibility of a frost. And then as we head towards the Easter holiday weekend and beyond, much, much warmer temperatures. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, 69 today. Tuesday, 66. There's the cool down by Wednesday, 57. Maybe a little frosty Thursday morning. Then a big warm up towards the weekend. Good Friday, 69. 78 Saturday. Right now, a little cooler on Easter, but drier, and 65. Congratulations to Lewins Dunning from Lewis on winning a brand new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV.
Thanks, Bob. That Saturday's looking spectacular. Looking forward to that. All right, as we move on in Lewis, there could be a bit of history with its next mayor. We do know that Councilwoman Amy Marasco was the only candidate to file by the April 3rd deadline. If Marasco becomes mayor, she would be the first woman to ever hold that office. Marasco is also the treasurer on city council. Before living in Lewis, she was the vice mayor of Hillsborough, Virginia. Tonight, the council will determine if she qualifies as a candidate. Marasco tells Coast TV that her first act as mayor would be to have people bring non-perishable food items to meetings that would go towards local food pantries.
Up next on Coast TV News today, last race in Rehoboth will tell you what motivated one man to run across the country, ending in Rehoboth Beach. Don't go anywhere. I love this story. Over the weekend, one man completed his goal of running 50 marathons in all 50 states, and the city where he took those final steps, that was Rehoboth Beach. After hundreds of miles on foot, Rajit Singh is crossing the finish line. Rehoboth had their annual Coastal Delaware Running Festival over the weekend, and the marathon stretched over 26 miles. And what was planned to be a 2-year running journey, running those marathons, finished early, only taking Singh 20 months to complete.
In Milford, the Food Bank of Delaware announcing they are holding a spring senior health fair. The event will provide resources and support for seniors to improve their health and well-being. And organizers say 30 vendors will be there. Participants will also receive free pantry essentials. Fair will be held on April 29th from 10 a.m. to noon at the Food Bank's Milford location.
Easter is right around the corner, and you can start your Easter Sunday with music and meaningful conversation if you celebrate with Sunrise Sermons 2025. The final sacrifice service begins at 7 a.m. on Coast Country, 9:30 on the Delmarva Sports Network, and at 10:30 right here on Coast TV. And Matt, we just talked about that running festival in Rehoboth Beach. It was a tough weekend to run outside. Luckily, today's slightly warmer, though.
Yeah, you know, Saturday was raw.
I know.
I went kayaking.
Props to
because it was
everyone
on the
who ran.
agenda.
Yeah.
I was like, I am doing this.
That's brave.
It was raw, but I got it done. And I probably should have waited till yesterday, Bob, because yesterday was a lot nicer than Saturday.
Yes, Sunday afternoon, boy, Mother Nature really rallied. You know, we saw temperatures around 60 degrees, but until then, it was a tough weekend. Saturday really felt like winter again. But today, not too bad at the beaches. Fenwick Island and Ocean City, we'll see a lot of clouds this morning. A little more sunshine this afternoon. 50s to around 60 degrees. Waves around 1 to 3 feet. And then in Lewis, you'll be looking at mid-60s. A pretty decent ferry ride up to Cape May. Not too rough. And then Rehoboth, you're looking at temperatures into the low 60s. On the bay side, in and out of the clouds today, but mild upper 60s in Cambridge. Waves around 1 foot on the bays, and then Crisfield temperatures into the mid-60s. We have a possibility of storms tonight and then cooling down and then warming up. I think warming up for good heading into next week. I'll have much more in your forecast coming up in a little bit.
Thank you, Bob. And after the break on Coast TV News today, roadwork on Route 90, how much time you need to set aside to get to where you need to go.
Also, acceleration assessment, how Milton could crack down on speeding in town.
And Pennsylvania arson investigation will tell you what the Pennsylvania governor is now calling for after a massive fire at his official residence. Coast TV News today. We'll be right back.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick, and we are working on 5:36 on this Monday morning. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us. And we were just talking about the Masters over the weekend. We were a little jealous of their weather.
I was watching that, and they're in short sleeves.
I know.
And I was wearing
winter jackets. Yes.
Especially that Saturday was raw.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to get to the Masters. We're going to talk about that more in just a moment. But it was a wild ride. It looked like I stopped watching. I thought it was over. Then it was on again. And then it was over. Then it was on again.
Well, you don't want it to be boring, though.
No, I don't. No? It was getting boring, though. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Bob, you not boring. Bob's never boring, but you do have some interesting. You lit an up and down type weather day today for this Monday for us.
Yes, we do, and I tell you what, it was a really exciting Masters. I was really rooting for Rory McIlroy. And I was looking out the window on Saturday, saying, "Ugh, we're so gloomy," and they're enjoying beautiful weather. This morning, we're seeing just a few clouds out there, beginning to increase. We have warmer air building in from the west, and with that, maybe a few sprinkles that could be moving in this morning. Otherwise, we're looking at a few more showers up to our north and west right now. And once these move through, I think we're going to be looking at a milder day. There is a stronger cold front back to the west. That'll be moving in tonight, maybe giving us a few storms. But it's chilly right now. 37 in Salisbury, 39 in Delmarva, 38 in Redden. I think just a little too warm for frost. 40 in Georgetown with mid to upper 40s at the coast. Winds are light now, but eventually they do shift out of the south and southwest later on and will really start to warm up. Here's Futurecast. This morning we're looking at temperatures in the 30s and 40s, and then by mid-morning we're into the 50s. Pretty nice with a mix of sun and clouds. The southerly winds kick in by noon. 66 Salisbury, 67 in Millsboro. Cooler 50s at the coast. And I think later on this afternoon, some inland locations close to 70, like around Salisbury, 66 Millsboro. But once again, a little colder as you get closer to the beaches. If you're riding the ferry up to Cape May, I think you're in good shape. The waves should be pretty flat as the winds are calm. We're looking at a mix of sun and clouds, maybe a stray sprinkle this morning. Still have to bundle up with temperatures in the 40s. Then we warm up into the 50s mid-morning into the latter part of the morning, and then 60s this afternoon as those southerly winds do kick in. More on that storm chance tonight and a chance of frost later in the week in my full forecast a little bit later on.
All right, looking forward to that. Thank you, Bob. Our top story this half hour, police say they have a suspect in custody. This is in connection to a fire at the Pennsylvania governor's official residence. Governor Josh Shapiro says state police woke up his family at 2 a.m. Sunday morning, led them to safety. No one was injured, but we saw some images of this. There was some significant damage to the interior of the home. Authorities say they've arrested 38-year-old Cody Balmer, and he'll be charged with attempted murder, terrorism, and aggravated arson. Investigators say they believe this was a targeted attack, but the motive is unclear.
Happening tonight in Milton, adding more tools to deter speeding is up for debate. Milton already has several portable radar signs, including those on Mulberry Road and Atlantic Streets. The Streets and Sidewalk Committee could also recommend that the Town Council enact DelDOT's electric speed safety program, which includes the use of cameras in work zones. It is that tool that has drawn concern from some people who live in the area.
Moving to Ocean City, Route 90, that's a main roadway into the town, especially if you're coming from points west, either on Delmarva or from across the Chesapeake Bay. A 12-mile section of Route 90 is going to be shut down from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. every night. And while the bridge is shut down, drivers will be directed to the Route 50 bridge. And if Route 50 is your normal path, this detour could add about 30 minutes to your drive. The work is expected to end on April 17th.
Happening now, some lane closures are in effect on the Bay Bridge. Here's what that schedule will look like according to the Maryland Transportation Authority. Work should be wrapping up right now. And here's the time change for today through Wednesday. 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. is when those closures will occur. And on Thursday, it is from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And this is for the deck removal and replacement project.
We should learn more about the demands on the Lewis Fire Department. And over the past 2 months, it appears those demands have increased. This year, the department has responded to over 1,500 EMS events this year. Fire department data shows a rise in call volume from 2018. It's one reason that it is warning Lewis officials that it will have to end emergency medical services if it doesn't get more money. According to the department, more emergencies has led to rising staffing costs.
This just in, the Federal Aviation Administration is announcing that the operator of the helicopter that fell into the Hudson River on Thursday will cease operations immediately. A chopper operated by New York Helicopter Tours resulted in 6 deaths after it crashed into the Hudson River, killing a pilot and a family of 5 visiting from Spain. The move comes hours after New York Senator Chuck Schumer called on federal authorities to revoke the company's permits and specifically said the FAA should ramp up safety inspections for other helicopter tour companies.
Still have more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up next, Agriculture Innovation. We'll tell you how Delaware State University is looking for the next big tech and what major awards students could win.
Also, defining win for Rory. The emotional final round at the Masters ends with a new member in an elite club.
And Cow in Crisis. We'll tell you how a cow was saved after it found itself trying to take a swim over the weekend. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
Just about 5:45 on our Monday morning. Here's our Spicer Brothers Cam in Salisbury. Starting to see some daylight, some clouds, a little bit of blue sky. 37, so almost cold enough for frost inland areas with 30s to around 40 degrees. Mid to upper 40s at the coast right now. Winds are light, but eventually they'll become southwesterly throughout the day. We are seeing an increase in clouds and some sprinkles around D.C. and Baltimore, and some of those could sneak in here the next couple of hours. Nothing that you will need your umbrella for. Then behind this warm front, we're looking at a big warm-up as we go through the rest of today. For the kiddos out the door, still need that heavier jacket. 41, dry and chilly off to school, and then heading home, you can carry that jacket. 66, dry and mild. Some places inland touching 70 degrees. Remember to call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone for another way to get your forecast. Sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico.
Thank you, Bob. Happening today, 6 property owners will have their assessment appeals heard during the Sussex County Board of Assessment review meeting. 4 of those properties are located in Bethany Beach, 1 is in Millsboro, and 1 is in Rehoboth Beach. That meeting is set for 10 a.m. this morning.
We mentioned it earlier. We're now going to talk about it, the Masters. And there is a saying about the Masters that the tournament does not start until the second 9 of the final round. That was oh so true on Sunday. After taking a commanding lead, it was on those final 9 holes that Rory McIlroy appeared to have blown his chance at winning that elusive green jacket. 1 extra hole put the Northern Ireland native among golf's elite. Now, we did have some highlights for you. You may notice we're experiencing some technical difficulties here. But let's talk about the Masters, because McIlroy, with 8 holes to go, he had a 4-stroke lead. And then on the 13th, he got a double bogey when he hit his ball into Rays Creek. That opened the door for Justin Rose. And on the 18th hole, it was a long, long putt that Rose drained. That gave him a tie for first at 11 under par. McIlroy would then regain the lead, and by the time he reached the 18th, he needed a par putt to win. He bogeyed it. There'd be a playoff. That's where Rory McIlroy got a birdie to win the 89th Masters, and he becomes only the 6th golfer to have ever won all 4 majors in a career. Delmarva Shorebirds, they closed out their homestand with Fayetteville. It was a battle of the birds, and it was the Woodpeckers getting a 2 RBI single by Drew Butcher as part of a 4-run first inning, and that was basically ball game. The Shorebirds were shut out 6-0 on Sunday. They have dropped the last 3 of that series. Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, 5:30, we have Stephen Decatur taking on Easton in boys lacrosse, and then it is the final score at 10:30. For your DSN Plus exclusives, along with that game that we just mentioned, you also get these at 4. There's a girls lacrosse double feature. Kent County traveling to Cambridge, South Dorchester. Sussex Tech is home with Dover at 5:30. Milford travels to Dover for boys lacrosse. 6:15, you can see Cesar Rodney take on Caravel Academy. That is in girls lacrosse.
It is a chilly start to our Monday. 44 in Dover on the Bay Health cam right now. It's dry, maybe a stray sprinkle a little bit later this morning. Otherwise, a good-looking Monday on the way. Some storms possible tonight with a cold front, then cooler into the middle of the weekend, staying dry, and then a bigger warm-up into the Easter holiday weekend. Right now, fingers crossed for a decent weekend. I'll have your full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 5:50, and we are taking a live look outside at Dover this morning. And Bob, it's a little bit warmer outside this morning. Same with Sunday. Saturday, I felt like it was January again. So that wasn't the best surprise. But you said it's warming up, but not to get used to this.
All right. Yeah, it's still the up and down weather pattern, at least that we've been seeing really the last several weeks, and it will continue for the next few days. Here's the storyline as we begin a new week. It will be warmer today, but a brief warm up into the upper 60s, maybe around 70. A cold front late tonight brings some showers and storms, and some of those storms could be a little frisky. And then midweek, cool with a brief cool shot below average temperatures, sunny and dry, maybe a possibility of frost as we go into Thursday morning. And maybe a little frosty in some places around Salisbury and Delmarva, temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, but it would be a very light frost there. 40 in Georgetown, Milton 43, 46 Rehoboth, and Ocean City right now at 49. As we have a wind coming out of the west, eventually this wind turns more southwesterly as we go through the day, and we'll start a bigger warm up. We do have some clouds moving in right now, mid to high level clouds, even maybe a few sprinkles around Baltimore, back through the eastern shore, but a lot of these are drying up, so I'm expecting mainly dry morning, but don't be surprised to see a sprinkle or two. Behind this system, we start to warm it up with the southwesterly flow. Then we have a series of cold fronts that will be sliding through. The first one is tonight, then the second one is Tuesday night, and really chilly air behind that. In fact, right now it's snowing across the northern plains. That's how cold that air is. Here's Futurecast this morning. We're in the 30s and mainly 40s, and then we quickly jump into the 50s as we head into the mid-morning time period. By noon, I think there'll still be quite a bit in the way of clouds, but very mild as the winds start to come in out of the south with temperatures into the mid to upper 60s. Cooler for the coast. Some inland areas around Salisbury and Delmar could see around 68 degrees, while we're kind of stuck in the 50s and 60s at the coast. As we go into this evening, we're dry early this evening, and then late tonight, watch for a line of showers and storms, maybe some heavy rain, gusty winds with these around midnight, and then by about 1 a.m. they're sinking to the south, and by 3 a.m. we should be totally done with that, and mainly dry by Tuesday morning with 50s. And then as we go into Tuesday afternoon, the breezes pick up out of the west with temperatures into the mid 60s, and then we'll see another cold front reinforcing that cold air Tuesday night. There is a marginal or low risk of seeing severe weather from Seaford to Milford, Dover, and the eastern shore. The main concern I'm worried about is maybe some strong winds over 50 miles per hour, so make sure you secure those outdoor items. Not a lot of rain expected with this system, maybe up to about a quarter inch of rain. And as I mentioned earlier, a possible frost Thursday morning, temperatures down into the mid 30s. So make sure you protect your plants then. But as we head into the weekend, that's the Easter weekend, into next week, we get into more of a sustained spring pattern with much warmer temperatures. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, 69 today to 66 Tuesday. Wednesday is the cool day at 57, maybe a frost Thursday morning, 61 Thursday, 69 a Good Friday. Look at Saturday, 78 degrees, but then it cools down for Easter Sunday, and right now keeping it dry for Easter, partly cloudy, and 65.
Thank you, Bob. People living in Georgetown could be impacted by an upcoming hydrant flushing. The town says this will start next week on April 21st. Town officials say people could experience temporary discoloration and to run all faucets for a few minutes. That's what should take care of the issue. Flushing begins in Ward 1 and continues onward.
Students at Delaware State University could be awarded over $200,000 to further innovation in agriculture. Today, the university is hosting an innovation venture, a national summit focused on agriculture technology. According to DSU, the day includes discussions with industry leaders and a product pitch competition for students. The award money, totaling $225,000, will help them progress those pitches into market-ready products. This is essentially important as much of Delaware's economy relies on its farms.
Happening today in Lewis, we could see possible action, could see requests from the Public Art Committee. According to the City Council agenda, the group wants to install 2 new park benches. This would be at Mary Vessels Park. Seating would be permanent additions. The Lewis City Council meeting takes place tonight at 5:30.
Starting to see brightening skies out there in Salisbury right now on the Spicer Brothers camp. 37 degrees, maybe a sprinkle today. Otherwise, we're looking at a mild Monday for Delmarva. Some storms possible tonight with the cold front, then cooler into the middle of the week and staying dry. Details in 2 minutes.
It's 5:58, so we're going to take another quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, Bob, temperature-wise, condition-wise, at least for now, this seems like typical for mid-April.
Yeah, for today. And then, it seems like you go every couple of days and then it starts to cool off again. That's exactly what will happen. But today, a pretty good-looking day. We're looking at clouds this morning, maybe a sprinkle. Don't need the raincoat. Temperatures warming through the 40s and 50s. Then we're into the 60s this afternoon, upper 60s. Some inland locations could hit 70 degrees. Then I am a little concerned about storms overnight. Maybe some heavy rain, gusty winds with those. Otherwise, your Paul Davis 10-day forecast, 66 on Tuesday. A bigger cool down Wednesday, a high of only 57. Could be a little frosty Thursday morning with a low of 38. Thursday, sunshine 61. By Good Friday, 69. And then Saturday, that temperature really jumps out, 78 degrees. I think it does cool down again for Easter Sunday, but right now we're keeping it dry, 65. And then more of a sustained normal spring pattern next week, upper 60s on Monday, and then 70s as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, thanks, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, shutdown starts. The bridge project in Ocean City. Take a look at that and how it could impact your drive into the popular beach town. That and more when Coast TV News Today continues.